Hi, I'm Rich Story. Welcome to another Level Up Cartooning. All you need to follow along with me is a pencil and paper. It doesn't get any easier than that, right? Now, before we get started, make sure you hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button as it helps this channel to grow, and hit the bell so you never miss a lesson. So last week, we drew the original version of Dr. Seuss's legendary creation, The Cat in the Hat, including finishing the drawing with traditional pen and ink, the tool that Seuss used for much of his illustration work. This week, we're going to draw the version of The Cat in the Hat that will appear in the new Warner Brothers animated film coming in February, voiced by Bill Hader. Other than the film trailer, there's not much to go on for reference material, so I had to piece together what I could to get a decent image. From what I've read, the film will blend three distinct animation styles to define three distinct worlds that the cat will occupy. And overall, it'll have the same feel or style as the recent Miles Morales Spider-Man movies and the recent Ninja Turtle movie. I, for one, can't wait to see it. But in the meantime, let's draw. We're going to draw the movie version of The Cat in the Hat step by step, giving you the secret formula to be able to draw him again and again. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I normally use the character's head to figure out how big the entire character is. In this sort of standing pose, like last week's original version, the cat is slightly over 5 heads tall. In other words, however tall the oval we use for his head, his entire body is a little over 5 of those tall, with his hat sticking up about another head tall. Okay, so what do you say we get started with a roadmap for the new movie version of The Cat in the Hat? So there's our roadmap for The Cat in the Hat. Now before we go on to step 2, I want to give you the layout of our cat using simple shapes for those of you who want to screen grab. Just something to help you when laying out your drawing. Okay, so now we're on to step 2. In this step, we do what I call roughing out the features. I want to remind you that until the third and final step, you want to draw as light as possible. You'll see that I use guidelines to help you to position the cat's body and features. We don't want those guidelines in the final drawing, so you want to draw them light enough to be able to erase them easily. Okay, so let's rough out the features for the new movie version of The Cat in the Hat. Okay, so there are the roughed out features of our Cat in the Hat. So now with the roadmap done and the features roughed out, it's time for that final step. In step 3, we get to have fun. We get to draw the final details of the Cat in the Hat. We don't have to guess where to put things because we've already done all the hard work to figure that out. Now would be the time to take a moment and look at your drawing while it's still lightly sketched out and fix or change things before you commit the drawing to those final lines. But even as you begin to draw those final lines, you should still be thinking about how you might improve your drawing of the cat all the way until the very end. Okay, so let's draw in the details for the new movie version of the Cat in the Hat. And that's how you do it. There you have it, from the upcoming Warner Brothers animated feature film, The Cat in the Hat. So how do you think you did? Understand, if you've never drawn any version of the Cat in the Hat before, you can't expect to have drawn him perfectly. You'll notice I don't spend time coloring our cat during this video because I want my lesson to focus solely on the drawing process. Now you have the secret formula, the process for drawing the new movie version of the Cat in the Hat. And with that, you can draw him again and again. And by all means, color him when you're done. I promise each time you draw him, it's going to be a little better and a little easier. I also promise the more you work with me, the better you're going to get at all of your cartoon characters. So I'd love to see your drawing of this new version of the Cat in the Hat. If you can, take a picture and post it on either Facebook or Instagram, and don't forget to include the hashtag #LevelUpCartooning. I hope you had as much fun as I did with this one. Remember to subscribe, and thanks for joining me. Until next time, keep drawing, my friends.